My name is David Damas. I'm the senior manager for our client engagement program. And I'm honored to be joined by our guest speakers, Nadia Jamal and Tiffany Playley. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And as I mentioned in the invitation, at the beginning, I'll be asking my guests a few questions, but the rest of the time will be dedicated for all of you to ask your questions. A few things to remind everybody that this is an open space. So I encourage you to not ask too private questions, too personal questions. Try to make the question as relevant as possible to everybody. But my colleagues are on the call. If you have specific questions, they will be sharing some links so that you can book appointments for a one-on-one conversation with our colleagues. So try to ask general questions and not too personal questions. And before I introduce my colleagues, our guests, we have my colleague Malaz Sabai, who wants to say hello to everybody and say a few words. And we'll get started with our guest speakers for tonight. Malaz, take it over.
And we also have Mina.
We also have my colleague Mina, who will be assisting us with moderating and answering questions and tech stuff. Thank you, Mina, for joining us.
Thank you, Dawit, and special thanks to Tiffany and Nadia. We're always so fortunate to have engagement from professionals in their fields to really help provide some guidance to folks that are really trying to discover their way into the Canadian workforce. It's not an easy challenge coming into to a new country with different work cultures and business practices and hiring practices. Really the goal of Jumpstart is to work with individuals like all of you who have joined the call to provide that support, to provide that guidance. Um, One of the things that we've been really working hard at Jumpstart is to move away from kind of the traditional model that many of you are familiar with when you're engaging with a settlement agency or an employment agency like Jumpstart, where you come to them and then they think and they say, okay, well, I know these are the services that you would benefit from, and we know that obviously because we've worked with thousands of people, before over the last 10 years, so we generally understand what folks want. And then you kind of wait for us to provide you those services. And we want to move towards a different model, one where you really see Jumpstart as a resource, that we're your career coaches. I don't know if you've ever had a career coach. People pay hundreds of dollars an hour to have a career coach that can, provide them guidance and support them with whatever they need. Jumpstart is available to you and all of our staff at no cost for an unlimited amount of support that you need. So if you ever, want to look at your resume and maybe rework it because you're trying to enter maybe a bit of a different sector, you're trying to evaluate between different training programs, maybe your job search strategies haven't, been really paying off. And I know many of you here are here to discuss that with our two professionals. Maybe you need to get your credentials recognized. You want to attend workshops, whatever the case might be. Maybe you did get a job interview and you want somebody to work and practice with you. Reach out to us. You don't need to wait for us to reach out to you, and we will. Whenever there's a service or opportunity we think that you can benefit from, we will definitely be in touch. But I encourage all of you to reach out to us anytime that you want to talk to somebody, you need some guidance, you need some support in any way. I'm sure Dawud and the team, they send monthly emails giving you links on how you can reach our team members, and I'm sure we'll do that after this call and a post-event email. But we really make it as easy as possible, whether it's just calling our 800 number or using a couple of the booking links where you can just schedule a call with any members of our staff. who all focus in different areas. And we just want you to know we're here for you. We want you to take advantage of, any supports that we can provide. And what we've seen, folks that engage with us for more and more services and more support, their journey tends to move, forward faster. You're not in it alone. It is your journey, but we're here to support you any way we can. So please don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's questions, support, opportunities, anything that's on your mind. You can ask Jumpstart anything at any time. You don't need to wait for a workshop to do that. Thank you so much, Dawit. And again, thank you, Nadia and Tiffany. I know that all the guests will have some great questions, and we'll be looking forward to your insights.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Melaz, for that inspiration. I know, sometimes you feel discouraged, and you kind of sit on the back and wait for services. But really, as Melaz said, we're here to do everything we can within, the scope that we have resources for to try to support you. So make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, excellent. So once again, thank you to Nadia and Tiffany for joining us tonight. I'll introduce them very briefly, but they will introduce themselves in more details. Nadia Jamal is a senior human resource business partner with deep experience in supporting teams across operations, engineering, finance, and sales. And Tiffany is a senior talent acquisition leader with more than 25 years of experience helping people connect to meaningful work. And we're very fortunate to have both of them here tonight sharing their experiences. So I'm going to start with one question, same question for both of them. And the question is, have you experienced any setbacks in your career due to a career change, migration, or other transitions? And how did you navigate them and moved forward? Tiffany, why don't you start?
Okay, so this will tell you a little bit more about my background too. I choose to tell you this because I think this setback is so relevant to some of the things people may be experiencing in this client group. Most recently, I have led talent acquisition teams at banks, but I started my career teaching people how to find work. And I did that through community programs and social services, both at Humber College and the Board of Ed. So I got to the point in my career where it just wasn't enough anymore. If I was going to move up, it was going to be admin. And I wanted to look at getting into executive search. But executive search doesn't like social services. They just don't. And so I found a role that was perfect for me and I applied and nothing happened. And it was perfect for me. Like it described me, it felt right. Nothing happened. And I'd been teaching job search long enough to know that I wasn't going to get in with just an application in a situation where I already was a little different than what they were looking for. And I started networking. I called everybody I knew till I found somebody somehow related to this company. And a funny thing happened along the way. That company wanted to interview me, which was very strange because I wasn't really interested in that company. But I went through the process and I got to the end and they said, no, we're actually going to hire a lawyer instead of somebody like you. So, okay. They said, what are you going to do now? I said, oh, I'm going right back to that company that I'm interested in. I'm not done yet. And they connected me to somebody who knew them. And it was really a really weird, you never know where your connection's going to come from. She was teaching in the same school as me on a volunteer basis. And I wound up interviewing with her and she connected me to the right people. And when I got there, I got to see their search system and they rate candidates an A, a B, or a C. They rated me a C because I was not in the right industry. But when they met me, they were very interested in talking to me further. So I think for this audience, it's really important to talk to everybody. You never know where the connection point's going to come from. And when you're new, it's harder because you're just meeting everybody. But it's still really, really important. And they wound up hiring me, and I stayed there for 4 years and learned search. I started the first day, I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured it out. And then I wound up having a career in talent acquisition through the banking system and did all kinds of things I love. So I would say never give up, but also don't think that just being one of these is enough. It's not enough. You got to do a bunch of other stuff because it's very hard to say no. It's very easy to say no to this and hard to say no to people. So that was my little story.
Absolutely. That's a powerful story. Tiffany, thank you very much for that. So, you know, the takeaway from that is don't give up on your dreams.
No.
Keep knocking doors, keep working on it, but also do not entirely, depend on resumes and online applications and LinkedIn's and whatnot. You got to find other ways. And so thank you for that story.
You're welcome.
Nadia, what about you?
Thank you, David. Thank you, Tiffany. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You know, my background, in HR, I'm very passionate about helping newcomers and, professionals to build, meaningful careers. I have lived this experience which you guys are going through as an immigrant 21 years ago, when social media and internet or whatever we have available today for networking was not available. So when I first migrated to Canada, I took a proactive approach, and it was automatic. No one was there. Again, no social media, no Facebook. I don't even remember, but no help was available. But what I did, I contacted recruitment agencies. Someone told me, "Oh, go to recruitment agencies; they'll find your work." And I registered with them, and what I found is, they will call you and they'll be like, "Oh, if we have work available for 3 days as a receptionist. Are you available to work tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock in the morning?" And I said yes. So, I took every single opportunity which was available. I did, 2 months contract. I did, maternity coverage for 12 to 18 months. I did scanning projects. I did my first work in HR was literally scanning and filing projects. So I took every single opportunity which was available within the HR, field. And on the side, I was working at a shoe store, very well known, walking in a cloud, but the customer service requirements were very high because they serve, shoes to the services to, more senior, elderly patients, people have, surgery. So I have to be there with the emotional side as well as, the customer side. And what I learned, the experience I got was the customer service skills, the English, better English, I don't know, ability to deal with difficult situations. So this was on the side, and I'm literally talking about when the hourly rate was, I don't know, $6.70 21 years ago. So I took every single opportunity which was available, and I was doing my master's back home, so I had to, leave everything and come here. And then, I am able to, complete my certification, get the degree, equivalency, and now I am, with a very, respectable company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia. I think a lot of people could relate to that story. And again, as you mentioned, I think the takeaway is yes, back home we have a degree, we have maybe degrees, we were somebody there, and it's easy to feel devalued when you come here. But for you to bounce back, you got to be open-minded. You got to try everything and anything that's coming in front of you, and that's what you did, Nadia. And I think that's a very powerful example to everybody listening. Thank you for that. So you've already mentioned a few strategies that newcomer job seekers and refugee job seekers can do to try to find meaningful employment and to get a positive response, at least for interviews from employers. But if you could just add to what you already said, one or two practical insights on how to get your application succeed, and what are some common reasons that a very qualified candidate is not hearing back from employers. What's going wrong? If you could just share one or two practical insights to improve the applications that newcomers are submitting, but the ones that are already qualified to the applications that they are submitting, what do you think are some of the reasons that they're not hearing back?
Sure.
Nadia, while you're there,
I'll
take it.
go ahead. So there are certain elements to it. When we come from, the different country with a lot of experience, first of all, we are unable to see us starting from the scratch. That hindrance should be gone right away. We should be able to do whatever is available. This is number one. Now, talk about the resume. The resume should be as per Canadian, standards, I would say. I have seen resume, literally 5-page resume with every single item in it. It is, newcomers and people who are looking for work. They are more informed right now, but we still, see a lot of resumes with like more than 3 pages. They are in Times Roman or whatever font they like. It has to be very simple Arial 10.5 fonts or 11 maximum, no more than 2 or 3 or 4 headings within two pages. This is the resume part. Second part is, as Tiffany said, networking and, going to events, free events, or, any networking event which is available as per your job, as per your profession, building relationship. And you know what? Nowadays, as of today, we have LinkedIn. So if you are applying to a job, check the company, ABC company, check the people on LinkedIn, connect with them, create like a 2-line introduction, not very detailed, not like very forceful, and not like you're asking for favor. Connect with them and ask them if they can be, we are not asking to give us job to anyone else, but it's like if you can, suggest us something. And believe me, there are people who will be able to support you. And we need one job. To get that one job, we might need 1 or 2 people who can respond us back. So LinkedIn is a powerful tool. I'm not saying that, paid LinkedIn, we have to buy paid LinkedIn, that premium side. But, it's like an investment. If you tell yourself, okay, 1 month is free. I'll pay for 4 or 5 months. This is the budget within $200. Get the paid membership. You will have access to more people. Now, with respect to why, why do strong candidates sometimes not hear back? It could be too many things. One is, yes, we have AI or systems which, we as human, we enter the information in the system that this is, this will be matching. So we need to find the right wordings in our resume. So the system should match our the words, or I'm lacking the right word, that keywords.
ATS.
Yeah,
ATS.
ATS, and it should match the keywords. Also, what happens sometimes, priorities shift. I have been in the situation when we are hiring manager, let's say a maintenance person. They are saying that, oh, we need an electrician. Okay, when do you need it? Oh, last week. Okay, so what is going on? Okay, from recruitment, the requisition to having a person, sometimes it takes 2 months. So that time frame, we from this side of the situation, we get frustrated that, okay, the company doesn't care for us, but we are actually in the process of getting the requisition, posting the jobs, and then interviewing first round, second round, and third round, and it sometimes takes 2 months. Tiffany Tiffany, tell us if this is true.
Oh, it can take longer than 2 months. It can take a very long time. And there's a big piece before it's posted. And then sometimes there's rules with posting, like We're not even going to look at the applications for this long. Um, Hiring managers love to post a job and go on vacation. That's one of their favorite things to do. So they do it as a last minute, let's clean this up, and they check out. So sometimes it doesn't get looked at for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you can, yeah, just add to that, Tiffany, maybe just on the why are strong applications not getting a response part?
I think there is no way in this market right now, which is an employer's market, there are more jobs. There are more people than there are jobs right now. I can tell you with certainty that it is not uncommon to get hundreds of applications for one role. People need to understand that a human can't look at hundreds of applications. A machine can. And more every day, people are using automated tools to review resumes. So, of course, in this market, you go for gold. You ask for everything, you see if somebody has everything, and you see if you get it. Maybe you have a favorite company in mind, you throw that in with all the words and you see if you can get it. I think job seekers who don't get the initial call may be extremely qualified, including myself sometimes when I apply. And I know that my way to push through is I have to. One of the things people have used now that actually works, we ran a test with it. People fed their resume in with their job ad and they asked Claude or Chat GPT, how am I doing? And they got the language. So my last role, we tricked 6 hiring managers and we had AI write the resume for 6 jobs. And all AI did was match the job very, very well and send it in. And all of the resumes made it past the recruiter to initial screening, with one VP going insane saying, that is the person for me. So it sort of shows you where their head's at. They'd love a perfect match. They don't always get it. But paper's paper and people are people. So if you can find any way to get in that company, to do something extra, to run into people at an event or an organization, to work with the people in your community. If you've come and you've taken any kind of schooling, work with your teachers. If you're working with a community agency, work with the agency. Ask people who they know. When people that I worked with, because I think I calculated once and I helped over 1,000 people find jobs.
Wow.
And I looked at what is the same about these people, because I ran newcomer programs and I ran programs for people getting employment insurance, social assistance. And there were really only 2 things that mattered. It wasn't the country you came from, the language you spoke, the education you had. Never. It was focus and attitude. And if somebody knew where they wanted to go and they had the right attitude about it, they used, as Nadia said, they used everything around them to get there. And they didn't just stop. They kept going. And they shot towards their star and they would get there. I loved your ideas, Nadia, about like kind of take anything, see who's out there. And when you're there, talk to everybody.
Yes. And there is one more thing which I personally noticed in my, career. When we receive resume, we can tell the way resume is written, even if it's 2 page, we can tell that this is an internationally trained person. We can tell
Mhm.
with the experience. And what happened is there are somehow they want us as a recruiter, I'm saying, to see that they have the experience which is too specialized, which is not a fit for this position. So we have to literally, if they're asking for A, the way they write A, we have to write A in our resume. So if they're asking for something and you have more than that, please delete from your resume. Otherwise, hiring manager will be like, oh, they're asking for my job. They're overqualified for this job and they will ask more money and that's it. And from the perspective of a new immigrant and as an immigrant, I know that when we come here, we know that we will start from scratch. We will start from the basic, and we are not asking for, if a salary range is 55K to 105K, we understand that this is, like we are standing at, let's say, 55 to 60K, we are not asking for that higher. But if we put masters or whatever, two specialized projects, sometime tells us that, this person has worked like 15 years, in one company, and then we need only 5 years. So there's no way they will ask for lower. But, as an immigrant, I understand that, we have to feed our families. We have to survive here in the first at least 3 years. So we need to take the specialized items out of our resume and then apply. If you are targeting to a manager position and you were director back home, and I apologize if it's too transparent or maybe a little bitter. If we were director over there, if we are applying to a little lower, which is a manager position, there is one thing which is called Canadian experience, which does not exist. In my 15 years of service, it does not exist. Having said that, when you are a new person, you need to know the norms of the company, the English language, the jargons or whatever, of this Canadian environment. And we are very green in that. Sometimes, we don't understand their jokes in English. And I'm talking about, from your side. So we need to be able to understand that side. We have to start from the basic. We have to take every single opportunity which is available, and then, target that manager level job, even though it was something you were doing 10 years ago. Maybe target that job in a few months or a year. That's a very cruel reality, but this is what I can suggest in terms of how to target those higher positions. Because what will happen that there are, for let's say a junior level job with a 2 years of experience. I have my son, second year university. He already has 4 months of co-op, in a company, from a company. When he passed, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, he already has that experience, 2 years of experience with, he's Canadian born, he has that English, he has all the required items. And please, I'm just giving an example. So, and we have to compete. We all immigrants need to compete with those, I don't know, thousands of those, students, let's say, with only 2 years of experience. So there is a part where we need to bring that, with us, which is sometime I heard that, oh, you are asking for Canadian experience. No, we are not asking for Canadian experiences. We are asking for the personality which can fit in the system. So, you can deal with whatever situation you will be dealing with.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think what I'm hearing from the both of you is, there is the being open-minded, having the positive attitude on the personality side. On our application side, we need to make sure that, we know the type of application to write and how to, tailor the resume and the cover letter and write our stories there, but also to leverage networking, and being really open to entry-level positions, seeing as a learning and as a connection experience, those entry-level positions in themselves. And so there's a question already. We're going to get into the questions. Apologies, we're a bit delayed. And I know there is a question, how do we use AI appropriately for job applications? But before we get there, I wanted to mention there are some newcomer, refugees, forcibly displaced people who get to the interview stage. They've had the interview. They're not crossing the line after the interview. What are some of the common mistakes you see that newcomers do after the interview?
After or during?
I guess both. Both. Yeah, during, I guess. Yeah, during. What is going wrong in the interview that they're not back?
From my perspective, and then Nadia can give you hers if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
During, sometimes it's just cultural, not making eye contact, appearing disinterested, so nervous that they, instead of making light of being nervous, it becomes more dour and serious. And so they don't connect as well with the person on the other side of the table. I always thought it was great when I was interviewing somebody and then they were a little bit of a very nervous at the front. They would say to me, I'm so sorry. Interviews do make me a little bit nervous. I'll just need a minute to get going. And they could just, and then the room cleared and everybody was okay. It's not about being perfect. It's about connecting. People are going to sit and work with you all day and they just want to know that that's going to be an okay experience. Sometimes people do not clarify and they answer the wrong question. I got to tell you, that's a big one. So they answer something because they were so nervous they didn't listen. I think listening is really important in the interview. So obviously, it's all the same rules for everybody. Selling yourself, being honest, being direct, having incredible examples. So I'm sure in the work you've done with Jumpstart and other organizations, you're learning to do the situational examples. I would say people need to read the job ad 3 times, top to bottom. Pull out the themes. What are these guys after? And for each theme, write a story of something from either your personal life, your work, or your education that's relevant. Think through your story and what the outcome was. And you may never say it word for word. And they may not ask the question you hoped. But you've now packed yourself with all this great stuff to talk about. It becomes very easy in the interview. If you don't do that beforehand, it can be very hard. After the interview, thank you letters go a long, long way. And if you can do a brief thank you to the people you met and say where you think you'll add some value, you'll be maybe 1 in the 10% who bother to do it. And it really, really helps you stand out. It shows that you really want the job and you're interested. And if I can take it one more step beyond that, if you don't get the job, send them another letter that says, thank you for considering me. If your opportunities change in the future, I remain really interested. I've had people get jobs that way. I call it a thank you for rejection letter. You rejected me. Thank you. Now, what about the future? And it can work really well. So those are just some hints that I have for that process.
So from my experience, I read the question somewhere that, networking may not be very like necessary, but I had personal experience when we ordered food from, I don't know, let's say Uber. We are a manufacturing and processing industry and a company and we have labor job. And there were certain people, they handed over their resume to anyone who is receiving the food. So that person, supervisor, labor, HR, whoever, they bring that resume to me. And they're like, oh, the Uber driver, they dropped off this resume. Or if it goes to operations manager. So what happened? Operations manager send me that resume saying, oh, I received this resume. Can you look into it? They have no idea who that person was. Or if I receive that resume, I'll ask my coworker or I'll scan it, send it to my recruiter or partner. And I'm like, someone dropped me here. But that one extra step from the Uber driver, we were able to hire 7 people, 7 or 8, because we had their resume on time and we sent it to our recruiter and recruiter thought that this is coming from Nadia. You know what I mean? I don't know the Uber driver at all, but someone gave me and I'm like, okay, seems like, I just scan in like 20 seconds. I'm like, this is a labor job, but this person seems, fine. So that one email for the recruiter is like, oh, this is a reference from, this person. And what this Uber driver did is one extra step and give, that resume. And, they just 7 of them were Uber driver. And again, we were very, lucky to have all those 6 or 7 people or 7 or 8 people, and they are all very good workers. We don't want to lose them. There's one more thing with respect to AI. So I understand that, companies are matching AI, whatever wordings, and we are using applicant tracking systems, and, resume should have those specific words in that. With respect to training yourself, we have Copilot. Download Copilot in your cell phone and it can talk to you in your language. Don't talk to them in your language. Talk to AI in English and tell them that, hey, whatever name you want to suggest them, and say, I have an interview with this company for this position. Please ask me 10 questions. Don't give AI, like a random number. Just be very specific and say, ask me five behavioral questions and ask me five situational questions. I'm sure you know the difference. From your end, you have to prepare those questions like you have a test next day. You need to have a diary, a notebook, or something where you have or young people. I'm old enough to write in in the diary or whatever, or have a document online and talk to AI. Please talk to AI in English, talk to them, ask AI to be a critique and let me know what are my mistakes, how am I pronouncing, whatever you want to say. Just prepare yourself for the interviews if you get a call, because this is a great tool we have. We don't need anyone to spend time with us. It's available for free. Use it until we have it for free. The other thing is with respect to not getting, calls, after applying. This is happening everywhere. The time of the year, like, Tiffany said, yeah, we are in, in a recession. There are 10 jobs and 10,000 people, they apply. And what happened is, my personal experience, we have a job and someone is applying from, I don't know, Malaysia, Pakistan, India, or east side of the, of the world actually. And we sometimes receive 550, 500 resume, and I'm not kidding.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
it's like, overwhelming the recruiter. And I'm not a recruiter, but I know my recruitment partner, they work extra hours. They are overburdened with all this resume sorting, because this is tedious task. Again, be an early applicant. LinkedIn has that, I don't know, I have the paid version, so I don't know if it's not available for unpaid. It tells you that how many, over 100 applicants or something. So when you waited so long to be the 101, more than 100 means you could be 5,000
Yeah.
applicant. So be an early applicant, maybe set a timer that, and believe in yourself. Your time will come. You will have a good job. And I would say, um an ideal time to get a better job is 3 years from the day you arrive in Canada. Yes, there are certain people, they get a job in a week, in a month, but starting from scratch will take you to understand the system, to understand English, to understand, what's going on out there, to understand the weather, and then you will be able, when you understand, a lot of things around you, then everything start making sense. And, the settling time is 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, one in thousand who get a job in a week.
Yeah. Our hope, Nadia, is to, you know, provide this kind of support and organizations like Jumpstart to bring that time to, a year or even possibly under a year
No,
for,
I mean,
for
no,
professionals
I totally
to find a
understand now.
job.
The
But
problem
that's the
is,
reality, yeah.
people who are here in this, in this call, or I deal with, too many people when they come for an interview. Sometimes they are in, they're desperate to get a job, but we need to understand it's a process, and processes take time. I'm not, here to tell everyone that, oh, you know what, take it easy, don't be bothered with anyone, and it will take 3 years. No, but if you are waiting for so long, I'm trying to, make them feel better that it's a process. Maybe you're
Patience.
lacking, your English is best, but maybe you're overqualified. Or whatever the circumstances, whatever, the aspect of your life would be. So it can take time, but everything will be fine in the end. So I'm not, please don't think that I'm, pushing anyone behind or saying that, oh, this is a normal process. No, but this is a process and this will take time.
Thank you. Tiffany, somebody asked about phone screening. Sometimes you apply for an application, you don't have the interview. So, sometimes applicants do not think to either track their applications or to prepare for a sudden phone
Yeah.
call to get the phone screening. So, how to prepare for a phone screening?
So a phone screening can happen two different ways. It could be somebody calls and schedules it with you, or you could get me who gets excited, sees your resume, and calls you. And when I do that, I'm like pressed for time. I'm just going to have a few words with you and figure out if I want to go forward. I'm mean that way. I just got to say, I did that all the time. People don't love me for it, but I figure if you're interested in the job, we can have a little chat. So I think that whole thing about sometimes it's actually applying to less jobs that are a better fit that you can spend more time on. And you've done that, read it 3 times, and you've written down some stories. And you'll find once you start writing those stories, I can use it for job A, B, and C. A lot of jobs want the same skills. So it's not like starting fresh every time. And knowing some of your stories, as it's like your batch of goods that you're selling. So when somebody makes a call, you can have the talk with them. And sometimes they're only going to ask you a couple questions. They're just getting a feel for whether it's a good fit or not. So it's about positive, energetic, speaking with them, saying, I always say to people, if you want the job, tell them you want the job. I'm extremely interested in this role. Could you please tell me what the next step is at the end? Don't just hang up the phone. You can take a little bit of the control back and you can have that conversation, but spend some time getting ready. A lot of people are looking for somebody they would enjoy working with. And they are sensing that in the way you speak on the phone. Now, if somebody calls you and your kids are screaming, going nuts in the background, you're not going to have a good phone call. But again, you're a human. You can say, I am so happy you called me. I have a little issue I'm dealing with at home right now. When can I call you back? And then you take a little control and get back. So you don't have to not answer the phone. You can answer the phone, but if it's not the right time and you're not ready, just express a lot of interest and then call back. Again, if you can get their name and get a thank you letter out, it's going to stand out. It will stand out. So sometimes you can even do that with a phone screen.
Thank you so much. That's very, very helpful. And I think, sometimes, clients, they're too excited that they got the phone call. They wanted to talk right away. So I think that's very, very helpful tip to say, if it's not a convenient time or if you're not sure you can speak, you're not prepared, you want to go back to your notes and check. And I think, it's good to hear that it's okay to say, can we do this another time, but in a polite way.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think if you do, it just shows so much interest. Say, I am
mhm.
so thankful that you gave me a call. Would you be comfortable if we had this call in about an hour, whatever you need? If you're not able to perform, don't take the call. Push it out a little bit. If you can do it on the fly, do it on the fly. Once you've done a lot of stories, you'll be able to do it as you go. But at the beginning, it might feel a little bit difficult.
And both of you mentioned, I found it to be very interesting for both for the actual interview and the phone screenings. The human connection is as valuable as
It's
showing
huge.
your skills and the experiences. So I think it's fascinating to hear that creating the human connection with the people would lead to the next step. So working on that.
I'll just add one thing, and I'm completely, agreeing with Tiffany that, if you are not ready, don't take the call, or tell them that, can I call you maybe in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or ask them if you can put them on hold and if you can go to your,
Mhm.
area, whatever, and then, talk to them, put them on hold. That will be more easier to put them on hold and take the call, because sometimes, you fear that, oh, if I, say that, I'll call you back or you call me back, they'll never call us back. One more thing is, with respect to when we are in an interview for recruiters or whoever is the hiring manager, let's say, we know that you're an internationally trained person. So don't be very, depressed or anxious. We know that you have a lot of experience. We know that you're bringing, a lot of good skills with you. And we also know, maybe your English is not, up to the par or, anything which we think that is not in that person. We know from this side of the picture, we know everything. And if you're still getting the call, which means that the company bypasses everything, and they're looking at your resume, and that's why they called you. Now it's a time to shine. And again, practice, practice, and practice your interview. Ask ChatGPT, or ChatGPT again, I would prefer Copilot because it's live. Ask for interview question, what type of culture this company is, what is their mission or values. If they are, for example, if I talk about banks, they have different values than a manufacturing. Manufacturing, first thing is the health and safety and respect. Banks have different values and mission or vision statement. So I mean, do some research. And this is again, it's the time to it's the time to shine. So have a lot of practice, do a lot of practice before the interview.
Thank you for that.
Nadia, you're so right. There are tools now to do your research in 5 minutes that would have taken you
Yes.
5 hours, or you would have had to. I taught when I used to send people off to a reference library and they had to dig through files to find out about the company. If you're
Right.
not using the free AI you have to get a summary, you really haven't done your research. It's
Yeah.
too easy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't use AI only for, helping with resume and whatnot, but there is a
Yeah.
lot more that you can use AI for. Thank you for that. And somebody is asking, I know both of you mentioned earlier using examples in a job interviews, but somebody is asking, is sharing a story as important as using the example? So story,
The
a value.
story is the example, in my opinion. I think you will see it everywhere as either a situation action result, you'll see a situation task action result, you'll see a challenge and action result, whatever they call it. It's behavioral interviewing, it's a story, and it should end with where you added value.
Yeah.
So, one thing I would say for newcomers, your story may not feel Canadian. Nobody here is really too bothered by that if there's value in the story. So, I would say take your situation, your action result. This is I always say that situation was a dark and stormy night. Terrible things were happening. And then I came in and I did fabulous things. And then the result is the company got something good. If that good or whatever happened in the end doesn't feel like Canadian, tie it in. Just say, my research told me that your company needs this. And this is very related for me and a skill that I can bring to you. Just do it for them. Just make it easy for them to think of you in the role.
That's
Another, I think one thing that a lot of newcomers struggle a lot is, yes, the system doesn't value your experience, but you should value it and you should
You have
convince
to.
the interviewer, the employer, whatever you're bringing from back home is valuable. It's in fact a new thing. It's right. It's helpful. So that was interesting to mention, as you said.
It's
the
super
time.
important to have diversity of thought. It's
Mhm.
super important that not everybody fixes the problem the same way. And when I
Right.
look at a newcomer who did whatever it was to get here, they've got more gumption than I'll ever have in my life. They know how to solve a problem. And you've got to find the companies that are into that. And you'll see in the way that they speak and the conferences they attend, the events that they sponsor, who's really into that. And those would be good companies for you to focus on.
And again, the value of research, to know those things, you have to do the research, right? You have
Yeah.
to be a bit patient in the application process. But on the other hand, Nadia, you also mentioned put the application as soon as possible because we'll be over flooded by applications. And so,
Yeah, it's unbelievable to see this side when we receive applications. And it's not possible, for a human to go through.
No
And the
way.
minimum number I'm talking about is literally 2,500 applications from all over the world. We cannot, like stop, someone from, I don't know, from Pakistan, where I come from, not apply here. But again, are we able to give them that job? Not really, not right now, or not today, let's say. So be an early applicant. Try to use every single avenue to connect with a person, maybe a job poster. Every 70% of LinkedIn job, they tell you who is a job poster or the hiring team member or something like that. If not, then go to LinkedIn, find their people section, and go to their HR or whoever, and then contact them. If you're from operations, contact people, from operations. If you are, let's say, electrician, maintenance, millwrights, electricians, that's your side to connect within that company. So I think connections, sending them invites with the like 2 lines, what you want. Actually, LinkedIn doesn't even allow more than 2 or 3 lines. There's like 300 characters. I think networking is a good idea, or a great idea. And avail whatever is available. Grab the opportunity. If it's small, if it's you need to have your social insurance number, EI, EI and pension. It has to be, started with the basic pay of $17.50. If you start working at a retail store, this everything will start, it has to complete that circle. You're in the system now. So, I mean, think about the avenues or aspects you can work, on anything, and then, do your job search on the side. And I know that it's easier said than do, but I've been in that situation.
But Nadia, you bring up a good point. It's easier to get a job when you have a job. There's
Absolutely.
something about it.
Yeah.
It brings confidence. So yeah, trying things, and
I
maybe
can
they're
give
not
you one
perfect.
more.
They might get you to perfect.
Right. I can give you one more example. One of my very like family friend, their daughter, she came to Canada 4 or 6 months ago, let's say, and I was meeting her like, every here and there. And 2 weeks ago I met her, and she is working as at a restaurant. And believe me, the type, like, her whole conversation changed. She was talking about, I don't know, something, about, her restaurant, and very technical words coming out of her mouth. So, and I mentioned that to her, that you see that, you're completely changed in, today, because now you have a job and she is working only 2 days, 2 or 3 days. So, I mean, your whole perspective change. You have different things to say. If you have a Canadian experience, if it's nothing. Believe me, I've worked for several companies in 15 years. Not a single person asked me for Canadian experience. So this is nothing. There is no Canadian experience requirement. But you will learn the Canadian way of dealing with the situation. Take
Absolutely.
every opportunity which is coming, in your way.
And that's why that sometimes we do see newcomers and refugees, they're stuck on survival jobs, and it's okay to get a survival job. Use it for everything that you guys are talking about, but make sure you're not stuck there. Make sure you're not losing that long-term plan and long-term focus. There is another brilliant question here. From your experience in your career, can you use an example where a newcomer brilliantly networked their way into a job, and what did they do well? How did they stood out from others to get that job through the networking opportunities?
Oh my gosh.
Nadia,
I
yes.
had people come to Jumpstart events in the company that I was working in, and they were able to talk to everybody in the room. And my team would go away and go, that guy's great. That guy's great. We've got to find a role for that guy. And they get the resume in the system. And a lot of companies that are involved in these, it was just a networking event. It wasn't meant to be a job event. They'll put the resumes in their system and mark and note somebody they met that they're impressed with. We've hired from hiring events and from networking events. those both worked. I'm trying to think. I had so many good newcomer stories from people just talking to people.
Mhm.
I had
Yeah.
people like go work the elections and then talk to people as they walked in the room. Um, I had a
I
guy in
have
my
a couple
job
of
finding club
examples.
once who didn't speak English, so he went in an elevator at his condo, and I told him, "You can't join the club until you speak English. I need you." So he rode the elevator for a month and spoke English to everybody. He came back and he spoke English to me. I said, "How'd you do that?" He said, "I talked to everybody I ran into." So,
And you know what? I think there is a perception from, people who don't have English, their first language, that
mhm.
our English is not good. Our English is good because we
It's
have all the degrees and, the
oh,
diploma,
yeah.
whatever. And my head office, I don't know, 9,000 people in Quebec, every single person, when you're on call or when you meet them, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I'm sorry, my English is not good." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you are the director of whatever, whatever, and you're speaking English to me." And you're still saying English is not good, So it's, I think the question, can you repeat the question, David, please?
So, if you have an example of somebody who took advantage of networking to get a job into the companies that you work, what strategies do they use? Uh,
Um,
yeah.
I would suggest, I don't have any, someone else, but this is what I did. And so I am, I have a HR experience. What I did, the first thing I did, the first year, I searched for HRPA type of organizations. And I met Daryl at HRPA event. So anyone who can get these type of, organizations from their own profession, you're electrical engineer, go to, I think there is an organization. Search for organization, and then I understand that they have, paid membership, but there are certain times where they have free of cost, networking event, or very small amount under $50. And sometime we have to spend a little bit amount on to see, see the bigger picture and spend some time on or money on it. Sometimes I say things which, after that I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that? But, believe me, go to these events, which are your, like organizations from your profession. These professional organizations, they have so many people like you. Meet with them, and talk about your experience and ask them to, if they have any, opening, those type of things. Again, going back to networking, but that will take you to, to a platform where you automatically know that, okay, this is a platform, these are the requirements, these are the people, and these are the networking events they're offering throughout the year. It could be, I don't know, law events. Sometimes they are like free events in Toronto. Hamilton and Toronto, they offer, those, free events. Sometimes I'm more talking about in-person events than virtual events. Virtual events are good just for your, knowledge gain. But any in-person networking event, if you go there, you will meet a lot of people. For example, HRPA, you will be able to see like 99% HR people. So check for HRPA events. I mean, I'm not, like saying it because I am with HRPA, but you need HR person to see you and talk to you. So there are like hundreds of HR people available under, one umbrella. So this is another, thing you can add in your job search, that attend networking events.
Thank you so much for that. Somebody's asking about a career change. Somebody, a newcomer, maybe they spend some time looking for jobs in the industry where they have experiences for not getting a good, success. What's the best way to, I guess, change a career? Um, it's not a clear question, but would you encourage somebody to try to work hard in the industries where they have experiences, or change to a new career?
Tiffany, you want to go?
I think career change is like everything Nadia and I said times 10. It's like more networking, more talking to people, more focusing on what your skill set is and how it converts into the new role, more understanding your it's harder. It's harder. If it's an out because you found it hard to find something in your career of choice, I would say work harder at your career of choice, because you're going to work 10 times harder on the career change.
Yeah. I would say that career change is possible, as Stephanie said, times 10. There are certain things you need to see if you know that career change needs some of the skills you already have, some like transferable skills, like
Mm-hmm.
from admin to HR, or I don't know. This is the only example I have in my mind right now. So transferable skills. Or if you have like, if you are passionate about, I don't know, I'm HR and if I'm passionate about painting, so I know that this is in me. It's just an example. I'm not a painter. So it's like, if you know that, I am able to do it. I have it in me and I can do that. So that's where you can change the career. There are a lot of people that change the career, especially when we come here. We're like, okay, there's like this profession is stagnant. It's like 100%. They don't need us, and then let's change the career. So I think changing career is possible if you are passionate about something, if there are transferable skills, or if there is a skills or hands-on experience. For example, you are an electrical engineer and you want to be an electrician. There is a difference. So you know what I mean? So it has to be within your experience side.
Thank you very much.
I have
Um,
personal, someone who was mechanical engineer and they changed their career to nursing because of their personal experience, with their mom and stuff. So we have those type of examples as well.
yeah. Excellent. I'm so into this conversation. I didn't notice that we're 5 minutes past time, and I apologize for that. But thank you very much for all the insights and the experiences that you've shared. And I see that a lot of the participants stayed. I hope that they take advantage of a lot of the insights that you've provided. A few that stuck with me, again, as I mentioned, is really sometimes we're fully focused on sharing about our experiences, about our knowledge, and not so on the creating the human connection, as you mentioned, whether it's over the phone, at networking events, or at an
So
interview.
important.
So I think I found it to be very, very powerful. And I encourage everybody to invest in that. If you create that human connection, everything else following will have meaning. Follow-ups, and even for the rejection follow-up, I found it very, very
Yeah,
powerful as
for sure.
well.
Yeah.
Saying somebody, thank you for rejecting me is it's an attitude, right? It shows what kind of person you are.
Standing out piece,
Standing
like
out,
Tiffany said.
absolutely. And so I could, go on and list a lot of the powerful stuff you shared. But thank you so much again, Nadia and Tiffany. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time to stay with us this evening. Again, as Malaz mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, and I'll repeat it now, we do have a lot of services. Nadia mentioned a lot about interview prep. We do have an interview prep support. If you have an interview, feel free to reach out to us and speak to us. Um, Reach out to us. If we don't have the answer, if we don't have the services, we will refer you to other opportunities. We do organize networking events. Both of them mentioned the value of networking. So if you're proactive, if you engage, if you respond, if you engage with us, you will take advantage of the resources, and you'll stand out as our guest speakers emphasized tonight. And thank you both again, and thank you everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.